free agency needs. We do need a point guard. We were not able to get a top 3 pick with any chance of LaMelo Ball went out the window. I had hopes that we could get Tyrese Halliburton or Killian Hayes. Of course, as the Knicks franchise always does, we're always one pick too short. Remember when Steph Curry came out, we were one pick behind. We're always one pick behind, and I really, really liked Killian Hayes, and I think the Knicks would have taken him. But Obi was the best player available. We were flushed with forwards until we did a purge yesterday and got rid of all our forwards and centers. So now it's starting from scratch. So again, the second point is the most important point. The NBA is going to a shoot first, spread the floor type of offense. And I do think in free agency there is an abundance of shooters, and that's what we're looking for, right? Do you think?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I keep thinking that somebody's gonna figure out a way to counter the spread, spread the court, and just have shooters. But I don't think anybody's gonna figure that out anytime soon. I was thinking that Antonio was gonna figure that out, but no chance. Because at some point you realize that it's like they've made the big man kind of irrelevant. Yeah. Or the traditional big man. And I think that at some point somebody's going to figure out how to bring us back to that. I don't want to say that golden era of basketball, but that era where people can post up. I mean, I'm just amazed that coaches haven't figured out how to like speed up the game, but also kind of throw in that post up and still, like how do you not put Hakeem Olajuwon to use? How do you not put Patrick Ewing to use,
Yeah. No, I completely agree. Again, the modern NBA, and I think Tibbs having a few years off allowed him to study Steve Kerr and just look at the modern NBA as it transformed, because I do believe that he was out of touch a little bit in Minnesota. Again, he brought 2 losing franchises back from the brink of despair, got Minnesota its first playoffs in quite a while, and they still have not been back to the playoffs since he left. I don't think they went to the playoffs this year. Chicago as well was another downtrodden franchise that he brought up. So I do think that Tibbs is the perfect coach for this moment. I think he's learned from the errors of his previous stops. And I honestly think that they're changing their mindset. I do not want a Westbrook. I do not want these bloated contracts on our space anymore. We've gone through that with Steve Francis and Penny Hardaway and all these other over-the-hill players that we get at the wrong time. So I think we're building slowlier. That's not a word. We're building slower. And I do think that they're going their front foot forward with RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and Obi Toppin. So in terms of the free agency needs, and again, free agency starts in about 40 minutes. We need a point guard. I do think Lonzo Ball is a possibility if we don't get a free agent, because the Pelicans do have 5 point guards. Somebody has to go, and I think it looks bad on Lonzo. I do think he's available if we want to trade for him. We do need as many shooters as possible. If you look at the purge, they got rid of everybody except what's this cat with the braids? I forgot his name.
On the Knicks?
Yeah, the point guard. Do you remember his name? His wife just gave birth. I don't remember. Well, the point is that the one player that we did keep was a shooter to spread the floor.
Oh, you talking about Reggie?
Reggie Bullock, yes. Reggie Bullock was the only player that we kept. So that says a lot. That's an understanding that RJ Barrett struggled in his rookie year because there was no spacing on the floor. And so they're going to surround RJ Barrett with as many shooters as possible. So let's go on in terms of.
But my question is that is it just like the defense has changed? Like when we think about like, I don't know, other players that have been drafted, high picks, haven't had, you don't have to have such shooters on the court. You understand what I'm saying? Like, how is it that you've had players that were good, that were picked high and didn't have tremendous shooters, but were still able to succeed? Like I don't think that he needs.
Give me an example.
Well, I don't know. I'm just thinking of like anybody in the past. Like you think about like a Kobe Bryant. If a Kobe Bryant was drafted and to the same Knicks squad, granted he's Kobe Bryant, I mean, I don't know if he needs all these weapons around him. Is it just that RJ Barrett isn't good enough?
Just remember that Kobe had Sasha Vujacic. He had
his first year.
Well, I mean, that's a different NBA. That was 1997.
Right. So my point is really like what has changed so much? Is it just that, I mean, we talk about the offense. Is it just that the offense is so fast that the defense
No,
isn't
it's
able to
just
set?
the Golden State Warriors have fundamentally changed the NBA as we know it. Like the fact that they went to the finals 5 straight years, they won 3 championships, if I'm not correct, if I'm not mistaken. They changed the NBA. And the Rockets even exploded even on top of that. The Rockets have broken the 3-point shooting record every year since Golden State first did it. So the NBA has changed permanently.
Yeah,
The
but we're talking
Lakers,
about offense. I mean, right? So is it that the defense? So what about it? Like to me, it's just like I don't see other like basketball leagues kind of like changing the way that the NBA has changed. Is it just that the NBA defense is lax? Is it that they've kind of changed the rules to like allow you to play? I don't know. I don't understand what's allowed this run and gun shooting to change the game of basketball,
well, it's
right?
a little bit.
Is it just an NBA thing?
No,
Like, if you look at
it's all of the above. The NBA players do play less defense. The rules are designed now for more skilled players to showcase their talents. It's not a physical game anymore. I mean, the idea of an old center backing up and posting up, those days are gone. The Shaqs, the David Robinsons would not function in today's game. Karl Malone maybe because he could shoot a little bit out, but even shooting 2-pointers now, it's looked as antiquated. To be honest with you, it's just
but I think it's really just about like money, right? When I think about it, I think that it's not exciting to see that old school basketball. Like nobody wants to see a game finish and it's like 73 to like 68, right?
well.
It's
That's
not
why,
exciting.
but that's why the NBA put in those rules. That is correct on that level. But NBA coaches are there to win. If they don't win, they get fired. So they're not doing it for the sake of attendance, or they're not doing it. They're going to do it to try to get what they need to get, and that is wins and wins and wins. You look at D'Antoni; he was the most successful coach since Rudy Tomjanovich, and he was let go because they did not win in the playoffs. They won a lot in the regular season, but they didn't win.
You mean with
Um,
the Rockets? You think he was let go, forced out,
No,
versus just
he
like
was
him
let go
thinking?
because of his lack of playoff success. Period. Everywhere that he's gone, the mandate is to win, and if you don't win, it doesn't matter what style you play in. But the NBA, in order to win, analytics, and you look at Daryl Morey, who, like I said, put Golden State's offense and system and innovated and used it in his own right. They broke the mold. So analytics says you shoot 3-pointers, you go for layups and dunks, you don't shoot 2-pointers. That is pure analytics, where we're actually following the Moneyball paradigm that baseball followed for, and now it's just analytics. That's all it is. And
But like,
analytics
what do
say
you
the
think of
more 3-pointers
D'Antoni? I
you
don't know if
shoot,
he's underachieved. I don't think
who
he's underachieved, D'Antoni. I mean, you think about like the teams that he's had. Do you think that anybody else coaching those teams sinks him to the championship?
doesn't
I don't
matter.
know.
He's not winning in the playoffs. It doesn't matter.
But he does get past the first round. Not every. I mean, I don't remember the last time he didn't get to the playoffs.
I mean, I don't want to delve too deep into D'Antoni and his issues, but I will say that at the end of the day, you're basically your contract, and he's an assistant coach in Brooklyn now. You are bought and paid. Your salary is paid for on your wins. Period. The general manager doesn't win, they get replaced. The coach doesn't win, they get replaced. And if the owner doesn't win, the fan base tries to push them out. I mean, that's all I can say. But let's go on to the Knicks, because I don't want to. We can have this conversation for 3 hours. Um, let's see the teams with cap space. You can see the screen, right, Evan?
Yes.
Okay, so the Atlanta Hawks, the Knicks, the Pistons have the most cap space, 43, 41, and 31 respectively. Sacramento Kings, New Orleans, Charlotte, Miami, they all have 20 million available. Let's go on to the next one. And in terms of the premier free agents that are available, number one is Anthony Davis. He's not going anywhere. I mean, he's going to stay with the Lakers. Number two is Fred VanVleet. And I think he has two options, really. His options are New York and Toronto, because if you look at the Atlanta Hawks, they have Trae Young. They don't need VanVleet right next to him. They're going to get assets elsewhere. The Knicks, the Pistons just got Killian Hayes. They don't need a point guard, and their timetables is about 5 years down the road. And then you have the Kings, the Pelicans. The Pelicans, like I said, have 5 point guards on the roster. They're not doing anything. The Charlotte Hornets just drafted LaMelo. Miami is not going to compromise their cap space because they're going after Giannis. And I didn't spell check. I don't think that's how you spell Giannis. But anyway, so Miami's not a threat. So I don't see anywhere else for Van Fleet to consider other than New York and Toronto. And Toronto is not going to compromise. They have noted they're not going to compromise their cap space for next year when Giannis is available because they think they have a shot. And it's a great draft class. I mean, a free agent class next year. So it's only the Knicks and the Raptors. And if you go, you watch JJ Redick. Do you see his podcast?
No, I haven't seen his podcast. I hear great things.
But he had a great podcast with Fred Van Fleet, and everything seems to point that he's going to the Knicks because I'm going to explain why. He said on the podcast that he's trying to secure the bag. Okay. Let's actually go to the next slide. He said on his podcast that the money is his main concern. He's won a championship. He doesn't care about winning. He also noted on that podcast that he wants to be the lead dog. He wants to help a team move forward. I think the team also saw that podcast because that's why I believe they drafted his replacement in Malachi Flynn. Same player, small school, San Diego State, I believe, 6'1". It's literally Fred Van Fleet incarnated with Malachi Flynn. He's the exact same player. So I see Toronto as letting him go. I see the Knicks as his only viable option. So do you think he's a possibility with the Knicks?
I see why not. I mean, I think at this point, I think it's possible for them to go after Fred Van Fleet.
Would you want him? Do you want him on the team? Do you see him as a good player for us on the team?
Do I see him being the alpha that he wants to be? Do I see him leading the team? I don't know. I mean, I think he did. I definitely think that he had a significant role in their championship. I think that he could bring something significant to a team. But I don't know if I want to play it like that. You know, when I think about like when you just listening to what you said about him just wanting the bag. I mean, that was Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony was in it for like the money, right? And us having a player that wanted money stifled our growth. I mean, we could have, if it wasn't about the money, Carmelo would have been like, hey, listen, I'm not doing anything into the offseason. Don't trade me. Don't do anything. And then he could have just signed right out with the Knicks. But he went for money. I mean, because that squad that the Knicks gave up for him.
Any player in the NBA, it's a business. They always say that. LeBron says it. Everybody says it. There's very few players that say, I want to play for a team. I don't care about money because you've already been established. You've made your money. There's very, very few players. Those are usually supermax players. This is a young player that went undrafted, has never had a payday.
Right.
Why wouldn't you secure the bag? I don't see that as a negative. I think that's great. We need a mercenary. And if you actually look at the rest of the free agents that I put up here, they're all similar. They all want the bag. And if I was a player, I mean, that's what I would want. But look at the key attributes. He's a proven winner. He can play one or the two. And I think it's important that he needs to be able to play the two. Any point guard that we get needs to play the two because I think RJ Barrett, and I think they've even noted that in different publications, I think RJ Barrett is going to, be the one that handles the ball the most. They're going to set him up with pick and rolls at the top of the key with Mitchell Robinson. They're going to, or have him with Obi to do a pick and pop. RJ's going to handle the ball. You need somebody that can slide over to the two and can shoot spot up shots. That's why I think Fred Van Fleet is important because he can do that. And then when RJ goes to the bench, he can also run the second unit if need be. And he's a physical player. You remember him in the finals going against Golden State. He was either matched up against Clay, who was bigger, or Steph, and he gave them fits. This guy, I feel like if Tibbs had one person that he could absolutely get, I think is Van Fleet. And I think we can have them without the max. I think we could have Van Fleet at $21 million a year. I think Raptors only want to spend $20 million. We even offer him $1 million more. I think he's going to the Knicks, and I'm excited. I've actually been playing with him on 2K.
How has that been on 2K?
It's been great. Like he fits right in. He's great in the fast break. You could put him on the toughest wing defender. I mean, as anybody would know, I always test out scenarios on 2K. I make the trades myself, and I want to see how these guys will fit. And I think he fits perfectly. I haven't gotten it with Obi Toppin yet, but I think he works well. And I think Tibbs would love him. He doesn't have to look at him. And he's another coach on the floor. And he's only 26 years old, and he already has a championship ring.
I mean, you make a good argument for him. I was actually wondering about that because it definitely felt like a lot of the draft picks, like Obi was for Leon Rose, with that creative artist agency kind of.
You wouldn't have taken Obi if you had the 8th pick. You wouldn't have taken Obi.
I would have taken him. I definitely would have. But then I'm thinking like the other guy, Emmanuel Quickly. He was the Kentucky guy, assistant coach, Kenny Payne, perhaps even Worldwide West, kind of pushing for that. So in my mind, I kept thinking like, who's the player that Tibbs wants? What's that player? So if you're thinking that this is the guy that Tibbs would actually like, then I could see them going out for him because he's like, I'll let you guys set up my coaches, et cetera, et cetera. I'll let you guys pick the picks in the NBA draft, but I want a free agent. And
I mean, I don't know how that works. If the negotiation works that way, he's going to have a voice. But he was the president of the T-Wolves, and it did not go well. He hired Glenn Grunwald, and Knicks fans remember him. He was the awful GM that traded for Andrea Bargnani. Is that his name? That's it? That was him, I believe. He was awful here. So, listen, at the end of the day, Tibbs needs to coach and focus on coaching, but he wants to have a say in certain things. And I think Van Fleet, if he puts his word in, I think it is. All right, so let's move on because we're running short on time. I want this Zoom to lock off.
Wait a second. I'm sorry. Just to take us off a little subject really quickly. I didn't know that D'Antoni was an associate head coach under Brett Brown in Philadelphia.
When was this?
Apparently, like December of 2015, he signed on to be an associate head coach. But that was for like 5 months, if anything, and then he signed with the Rockets.
Oh, I don't remember that at all. But anyway, the next player I have here is Bogdan Bogdanovic. You saw that hot shit show that happened with Milwaukee where they canceled the sign and trade. And not only did they cancel, they're being investigated. They're gonna get fined. The Kings. I have never seen such a dumpster fire. The first thing you do in a sign and trade is what?
Check with the player, yeah.
Make sure that the player who's doing the signing agrees to go. What are you doing? And Vlade Divac isn't even there anymore. That's what I don't understand. They fired incompetence. This has to be the worst thing I have seen, and it is really bad. And not only that, it complicates goals with Giannis because if they're thinking like, you didn't get this agreed upon, you didn't confirm this, I don't want to be here. You guys are a bunch of idiots. So beyond that, now Sacramento has shown their hand, showing that they don't want Bogdan. He is not coming back to Sacramento under any circumstances. It also caused consternation and stress with Buddy Hield. He's not been speaking to Luke Walton. He's not talking to anybody because he was benched for Boogie. So now this is just a hot drama. So I think that leads perfectly for us to snag Bogdan because it's another situation where I think Atlanta is going to go after Gordon Hayward. And I think
apparently Atlanta's going after Bogdan.
They may go after both, but I'm just saying that I don't realistically see them signing both of them. They may, they have a lot of cap space. They may, but I think it's a good shot for the Knicks to get him. And he's looking at $19 million a year that he wants. We could potentially, we have $35 million in cap space. I don't know if we can get Bogey and Van Fleet, but it's a possibility if they were willing to.
Would you take that? If that takes out our $35 million in cap space, are you signing Bogdanovic and Fred Van Fleet?
They're both shooting. Bogdan is not. I don't know if I'm mangling his name. I do apologize if you ever see this. Bogdanovic. He's not the defender, but he's young. So let's actually go see the next one. He wants the bag as well. He said that the reason that he didn't agree to the signing trade is I think he was only going to get $12 million. He's looking at $18 to $19 million is what he's looking for. And I think he's going to get it. I think the Knicks are an option for him. He shoots over 37% on 3-pointers on 4 attempts a game. So he's going to make about 2 out of 4. He fits in with the age. He's only 28. so he fits perfectly right next to R.J. Barrett to spread the floor. So I think he's a great catch. Do you see him as a possibility? Do you not think that he would be good on the team?
I love him. I think that he's a great player. And I'm not saying that because Mina Serbian. I really
Uh,
do like his
Mi-
game. I think that he's
Mina's his
um
girlfriend, by the way, for those that don't know.
I think that he has great game. I mean, I love that he's a shooter. I mean, when you see him play and like for the national team, and then just in general, I just love the way that they play the team game. I think that he'd be an incredible contributor. I think that he brings that team basketball, that team mindset to the team. But I do think about like the starting five. I, it, I guess it would be Mitchell, Obi, Bogdan, RJ, and then Fred Van Fleet. If that was, I mean, that's not a bad squad.
Yeah.
Is it going
I
to
mean,
win a
we did
championship? I don't think
hamper
so. But
we did hamper our cap space by taking Ed Davis and those two picks in 2023. And for those that don't know as to why the Knicks have already gotten three second round picks for 2023, I don't know if you know this, Ivan. It's the first year of the double draft. So what the double draft is they're going to allow high school players starting in 2023. So you're going to get the college players that commit their first year and all those high school players. So you have a potential of having 30 key players coming in at once. It is going to be like ridiculous. So everybody is scrambling to get any kind of pick from 2023. The Knicks already have three, two from Ed Davis, and then one that they got from the Clippers in the trade that we made. Remember when we wondered why they drafted that center in the second?
yeah.
That went to the Clippers. They got a 2023 second round pick.
So
So everybody is scrambling, and I want to give a lot of credit to everybody on the Knicks who is scrambling to get these picks and taking off. But again, we lost $5 million in cap space by doing that. So we're running out of time. So let's go on to the next one. The last guy that I looked at was Malik Beasley. I think he's an option at $11 to $13 million a year. He wants to start. Anthony Edwards has taken his job. Oh, nice. We removed the. Oh, nice. Okay, perfect. Anthony Edwards has taken his job. Anthony Edwards has taken his job. Sorry, Zoom is telling me that they've extended it nicely. So the video was supposed to cut off, but they extended.
Wait, is Enes Kanter gone? Did they let him go?
No. He took his player option, but Malik Beasley, I think, is a perfect guy. Like he plays fast. He can shoot the three really well. He's young. He's only 23 years old. He shoots 42% off. I think he's a bargain. I think he's relatively cheap at $11 to $12 million compared to Bogdan, who is trying to get $19 million. Now, he's someone that we can definitely pair with Van Fleet and use him. Have you seen this guy play at all? Do you like him?
No, I was just looking up his stuff right now. I mean, he seems like he has. I mean, last year he played quite well, and then he played well. Yeah, I mean, he seems like he's played well. Is he unrestricted?
He's unrestricted.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know that. Sorry, I said that talking out of my ass. I know that the T-Wolves, with everything that they drafted and all the players that they have, they're not keeping him, regardless if he's restricted or not. It may mean
He's restricted. Yeah.
he's restricted.
Yeah.
So just like Bogey, those are two restricted agents that are going to leave. They're not going to stay there. And both teams understand they may need a signing trade. Maybe you think of a Julius Randle or maybe a Kevin Knox or somebody else that they can pair to get rid of him, or future considerations. Again, those first round pick, those second round picks in 2023 are essentially first round picks without any consideration for cap. Because remember, with second round picks, they do not. You can release them outright. They're not a cap hold. They're not required that you sign them into your cap space. So those second round picks are going to be worth first round picks shortly. So I think that they're amassing all these second round picks in 2023 for these restricted situations. But yeah.
So, I'd like to. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, I have this habit of not giving up on someone. I think I'd love to see what Kenny Payne could do with Kevin Knox. I don't want to give up on Kevin Knox just yet. I think that he's still young. He's had a horrible kind of experience in the NBA. The Knicks haven't been great at developing young people. They just haven't, and I just think that there's a finite number of young players and that you can kind of mold, and he's one of them. And I think that you have, Kenny Payne, and I want to say that that's part of the reason why they brought him in, because there's a couple of people that he can kind of work with. But I think
That
Kevin
guy
Knox is
from
definitely
Utah that worked with Donovan. What's that guy? The other developmental coach that we saw?
Oh, Johnny O'Brien.
No, is it O'Brien? Oh, it is. Okay, yeah. Yeah, you're right. So this is the first year that we're gonna. He's so timid. He doesn't.
Johnny Bryant. Sorry.
He regressed defensively, and I'm talking about Kevin Knox. I think he's expendable at this point. I don't think Frank is so valuable because his motor is just nonstop. He's a pass first player. He has to improve his outside shooting. That's it. I don't think he's a bench player. I don't ever see him as a starter. Because of the fact that he's not aggressive. There's only when LeBron pissed him off that I remember seeing him aggressive. You remember?
Yeah, I remember that. That was a good moment.
But that showed a chip. That showed a chip. That showed aggressive. Kevin Knox would never do that. Kevin Knox, and I'm trying to think of other players that are really quiet, smooth. Can you think of any other players that are like that you can't knock them off their stride, but they're still effective, but they don't have a chip on their shoulder? I'm trying to think. Maybe Kawhi.
That's exactly who I was thinking of.
Kawhi doesn't bark, and Kawhi he doesn't talk, but he's like a cyborg, so he doesn't count. I don't see Kevin Knox as a cyborg. But maybe you're right. Maybe this is the first year that we do have so many developmental coaches. Maybe Kevin Knox should be given a
listen. I don't think that he was treated fairly. I mean, I don't know the ins and outs. I don't know what's happening in the locker room or in training, but I don't know what his relationship was with Coach Fizdale. And I remember Coach Fizdale was that coach that kind of got in on players, told you how it was. And I don't know. I think that he definitely tried different approaches with players. And I just think that maybe the approach that he took with Kevin Knox wasn't ideal for Kevin Knox and his development.
If I had an opportunity to get a Van Fleet, a Malik Beasley, or a Bogdan Bogdanovic, or even this guy, what's his name? Bertans. Oh man, can you imagine? The Knicks are hot for Bertans. I didn't put him up here, but Bertans is
off the bench.
Oh man, this guy shoots like he's a 7-footer that shoots threes at almost a 40 or 45% clip. I mean, he is hot, but I don't think the Knicks are going to get him. I do think he goes to Atlanta. I think Atlanta's going to throw the Brinks truck at him, and I think he's worth it. I mean, a guy 7 foot. Like think of Kevin Durant, and he's just a sniper that he shoots. He's a perfect fit in this modern NBA. I don't think the Knicks get him. I didn't put him up there for that reason. But yeah.
Who's there? I was trying to look up who's the Atlanta Hawks GM.
I don't know that offhand. Why?
I'm just wondering. For a second, I thought it was Danny Ferry. I just wonder,
they have a lot of cap space. They have a great situation with Trae Young there, and now Onyeka Okongwu is there. I do think if I was the GM, I'm trading Capella to Boston in a signing trade for Gordon Hayward. I'm signing Bertrands, and I'm getting an off guard that's relatively cheap, that's defensive. Maybe think of a Halliburton type player to play off the ball with Trae that can lock up the hardest wing players of their opposing team. So. Someone along those lines.
So I just looked up. It's Travis Schlenk.
Oh wait, he's the protege from Golden State.
Correct.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, he was trying to build Golden State East. That's why he got Trae Young. That's why he was hot for Trae Young. I wonder if he regrets not taking Luka, but no, I don't think either one is upset about it.
Trae Young is really, really, really good, and he was only going to get better.
Yeah. Trae Young is an unmovable asset. I do believe currently he's a top 10, top 15 player. He's going to break Steph's records. And these are the type of kids that Steph has created with his game. Mm-hmm. Everybody is emulating. If you think about the kids, Steph has been playing for over 10 years now. So all these kids that were watching him in their backyard are now fully vested, and they're in the system. They're practicing on courtyards right now, and that's why I wanted what's this guy's name? Let me see.
Whoa, yeah, you see, no. Enes Kanter's gone, man.
I thought they signed his option.
Portland is acquiring Boston's Enes Kanter in a three-way deal with Memphis, sources tell ESPN. Memphis gets Mario Hezonja and the 30th pick from draft night deal as part of the trade. Two Celtics get a future Memphis draft consideration. That's why he was saying thank you.
Oh, I didn't know that he was traded. Oops.
Oh. Wow, so they want to go back to that squad that got him to the Western Conference Finals.
Who was that point guard that I liked from Stanford? I forgot his name.
Terry.
Who?
Something Terry.
Tyrell Terry. So that's another player in the mold of Stephen Curry and Trae Young, who I wanted the Knicks to take. And again, we didn't do a draft special. We probably should have done a draft special, a post-draft special. But I'm going to just do a quick comment. Maybe we can cut this. We're not going to put this with the free agency video. I want all the players noted after the Knicks took this cat from Kentucky, because there was still Bane on the board. Tyrell Terry was still there. That French kid, I forgot his name, the one that played with Tony Parker. There was tons of great players that were available after our pick. And our pick, the kid from Kentucky, was not anywhere on anyone's radar. That was what we call in fantasy football a homie hookup, where you have an insight and you do a side deal, wink, wink, and you make a trade that is obviously lopsided. Well, this was a draft that was lopsided because he wasn't on anybody's radar. They need to, the Knicks are becoming Kentucky East, and we are getting that pipeline from those players. We have Kevin Knox, Julius Randle, and now this kid. I don't even remember his name.
Emmanuel Quickly.
I mean, he was, everybody's praising him from Kentucky, Calipari, and everybody else. And apparently he can shoot, but he can't do anything else. He cannot run a team. He's a John Paxson, a Steve Kerr. He's a spot-up shooter. And yeah, we do need shooting, and I guess that works. But Tyrell Terry, man, I think the Knicks and the Knicks fans are going to regret that. I really do. I do think this kid is special. I mean, if you look at his mixtape, you look at his highlights, this kid has whatever it is, and he's tough. And mark my words. Mark the date, the time. Mark my words. Tyrell Terry. And Bane is another guy. Bane is physical.
Yeah, a lot of people wanted Bane for sure.
Bane is, do you see how big he is? Like, this guy is a beast. He was shooting the draft. I think we should I really feel like just rolling over into draft coverage. Obi fell to us, which was great. He doesn't defend, but Mitchell does. RJ does. Frank Ntilikina does. Tibbs is a defensive coach. So Obi's going to learn. So that's fine. I would have taken Obi 10 out of 10 times. He was the best player available. It did hurt my heart that we didn't take Tyrese Halliburton. And I've been singing the praises of Killian Hayes. He reminds me a lot of Westbrook, D'Angelo Russell. He was rated on most draft boards that people, if you look on YouTube, he was rated as the best prospect, 1 or 2. In a draft where I would have traded up for him. I absolutely love him. Anyway, but we got Obi. Obi's great. A little stat. Or maybe like a Blake Griffin with a little bit more physicality on the inside, a highlight reel. I think, once fans are back in the Garden, his dunks are going to just destroy the roof. And I think he's great because Mitchell will cover up his mistakes. And he has what Blake Griffin and Stat did not have when they came out of college. He has a three-point shot. He shot in the 30s, 33,
39.
39. Look at that. He has a really nice form. This kid can play.
I love his interviews where he talks about like he did what the team asked him to do. There's a lot more to his game that clearly hasn't been showed because he was only asked to do certain things. Mm-hmm. Of course, he's a liability maybe not a liability, but he's not.
But he's going to work on that. Tibbs is going to.
Yeah, he wants to work on it.
If anybody can teach you how to play defense, but again, you have to want to do it. Karl Anthony Towns did not get better in defense because he didn't want to. he despised getting barked at. He's a little sensitive, I feel like, and he hated getting barked at by Tibbs. This kid, Obi Toppin, look at his
Awesome.
interviews with MSG Network. Look at his interviews. This kid loves to learn, and he's eager to get better defensively. He admitted it in the interview. So this is a guy that wants to be a better defensive player.
Yeah.
So there's a difference right there. So I do think he's going to improve. He has huge hands. He needs to work on his lateral quickness. He's a little bit like stiff because he's so muscular. So maybe some yoga and some other different things will help him. But I feel
physique like Stoudemire. He definitely does. He has that Stoudemire physique. Stoudemire was like that. He's just like
no, but Stoudemire was a little bit more wiry. He wasn't like brolic. You don't think Obi's a little bit brolic and just a little bit?
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
Apparently, Gordon may be going back to the to the Pacers.
Yeah, that looks like a possibility. I think Gordon goes to the Knicks are one, or they're kicking the tires is what the word on the street is. But I think it's Indiana or Atlanta. I don't want the Knicks. He's 30. He's the last 3 years he's been injury prone. He's a mid-range shooter. He's not a very good defender. He wore out his welcome in Boston. I don't care for him. I honestly don't want him. That's just me. Like, old New York teams, the press and the fans are tough. You need a thick skin. Like, that's why Kevin Durant didn't come to the Knicks, is because, he's like Drake. He's always in his feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting draft for sure. I mean, draft and free agency. I just, it's a lot of stuff already kind of happening. I don't know. It's gonna be real interesting. We'll see what happens with. We got like 7 minutes.
All right, 7 minutes. All right, so we're gonna go watch the free agency. We're gonna upload this video tonight, this will be the first, and hopefully we can start doing this Knicks chat once a week, and talk about our team that has not been to the championship since what, 73. But yeah. Even beyond that, they have not gone to the finals since 91. So
we haven't.
I think we're on the right track. I do think that we're on the right track. I do.
Well, you know how folks get a little impatient because we had a wonderful, wonderful opportunity with Donnie Walsh, and then
exactly.
Donnie Walsh was that dude, man. He did exactly what he had to do. He got rid of all those bloated contracts. He had us looking really good. Had some young talent, and then it just.
Hopefully, Dolan stays out of the way. He plays his music. He relaxes. He gets this. He doesn't have to do anything. He can just sit there and relax. He's not pushed them to trade for anybody. Like he forced that Carmelo trade that just destroyed our roster, even though Carmelo was going to come to us at the end of the year anyway. Dolan knows that he is not competing with the Nets anymore. If the Nets get James Harden, the Nets should be out of the conversation. They are an elite team. They are a Golden State of the East. You are not competing with them. You are not winning with them. So move on.
Yeah.
Move on. Okay?
I think, of course, I mean, he gets a little impatient, I'd say.
A little.
I'll say that I think that I think ultimately he wants to bring like excitement to the Garden. I think that that's his motivation. I don't think that he has any intentions in losing. I think he gets a little impatient for sure, but I know folks were really excited. I mean, to have Carmelo Anthony, and folks were excited at the prospect of us getting KD and Kyrie and all these other stars. And so, he definitely goes out and tries to get us these, elite athletes, but it hasn't panned out. But I to have an owner that wants to do that, that's like,
what?
It's New York City. It's like, it's the Mecca. Let's have exciting players there. It's embarrassing when folks come in and constantly just, the visiting team is the exciting team. That's
all the time. And with Dolan, let's put it like this. Okay. I'm okay. I'm not too smart, but I'm pretty caught up on things. And if someone that I know is having surgery, I'm not going to go to the surgeon and explain to them this 2020 video that I saw, and I think that they should do the surgery this way. I'm going to defer to someone who, again, he's not a basketball mind. He's not a basketball person. He signs the checks. He needs to stay out of the way. The best owners in sports do not involve themselves. There are no George Steinbrenners anymore. Those people are gone. Do your business. Do this as a side thing. Do this as like a little thing on the side that you want to enjoy yourself, and move the F on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but when he's patient and he's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna sit back. People are like, the Knicks suck. We need this. I get it.
Why
I
does
mean,
he care? Why does he
it's a
care?
balance.
Why does he care?
It's his money.
It isn't. He's getting more money than he's dishing out. How about that?
I mean, he makes money.
Look at how much the Knicks are worth. The most expensive franchise in the NBA, and they're the top 5 most expensive franchise in all of professional sports. You don't like it, you can sell it. He can get $5 billion right now. Let your basketball players do their job. Let your basketball minds in the front office do their job. And you don't have to. You can play. He loves rock and roll, dude. I will go and listen to you play music. Go enjoy music.
So if you have your apartment, right? Now you hire an interior decorator to come in. They are a professional interior decorator, but they start putting up shit that you just don't like, and you're just like, no. This is my apartment. I don't want that. You still have the right to tell the interior decorator that you don't like X, Y, and Z. Do you not?
Yeah, but I'm not going to sit there and tell them, well, you're spackling wrong. There you go. There's a difference. Don't play with me. All right, we're gonna end on that note. We do have 5 minutes before free agency starts. If you guys like this, like the video, comment, let us know where we can do better, and we'll come back and we'll do more Nick videos. Right, Ivan?
Yes, sir.